Chapter 31 Food Contra. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thank you for the compliment, teacher. Cooking is also my hobby. I like to eat all kinds of food. Huo Yuhao said. Zhiwei suddenly said, "Are you interested in becoming my disciple? I would like to accept a disciple who is talented in cooking." Become a disciple? Huo Yuhao thought for a moment. He didn't want to become a disciple of Shrek Academy. Huo Yuhao declined. "Sorry, teacher Zhiwei, I need the consent of the sect to become a disciple, so I can't agree to you." Since a person in Douluo continent can only have one master in his life, the master-disciple relationship is often more important than the sect, so it is common for disciples of the sect to need the consent of the sect to become a disciple. Are you a disciple of the sect? Zhiwei raised his eyebrows thoughtfully, then sighed regretfully and said, "That's a pity. But if you have any questions about cooking, you can still come to me for advice. From your improvement methods for several dishes in the store, you have a lot of ideas about the chef industry. These suggestions are also feasible. These 100,000 gold soul coins will be your reward." Zhiwei took out a black card and handed it to Huo Yuhao. In fact, Huo Yuhao's suggestions were not worth 100,000 gold soul coins, but it was rare for him to meet someone who was close to him. Although he could not accept him as an apprentice, it was not a big deal for him to support him with 100,000 gold soul coins. Huo Yuhao took the black card and thanked him sincerely. "Thank you, teacher Zhiwei." That just now, he was thinking about how to contact this Seoul Douluo teacher for 30 seconds to complete the task, but now Huo Yuhao just felt that he was really damned. How could he cheat such a good teacher? Huo Yuhao struck while the iron was hot, took out the prepared recipe and handed it to Zhiwei, saying, "Teacher, this is a recipe I researched by myself. The ingredients used are relatively ordinary, but as long as you find high-end ingredients that can be replaced, it can become a new dish in your store. See if it helps you." "Let me see." Zhiwei looked at the recipe with interest. He never hesitated to try every new dish. This was not only his hobby, but also related to his practice. Huo Yuhao's recipe did not disappoint him. There were many cooking methods and food processing methods that he had never seen before. He was a little impatient to try them now. "Teacher, here are the dishes I made. Would you like to try them?" Huo Yuhao took out the food stored in the Soul Guide. The good thing about the Soul Guide is that as long as it is stored in, it will come out the same way. It is much better than the refrigerator in the previous life. The dishes that Huo Yuhao made the day before yesterday are still steaming hot when they are taken out now. Zhiwei's eyes lit up and he said, "Come, let me taste your cooking skills." Zhiwei tasted all the dishes that Huo Yuhao brought out, sighed with satisfaction, and commented, "Although the ingredients you use are not as good as those in my restaurant, the taste is better. This is certainly due to the novelty of the recipes, but more importantly, it is the meticulous processing of the ingredients. Yuhao, if I teach you for half a year, your grasp of ingredients will surpass mine. I really want to take you as my apprentice now." Huo Yuhao smiled and said, "Although you can't take me as your apprentice, I can come to ask you for advice often. I'm sure teacher Zhiwei won't refuse, right?" Of course not." Zhiwei laughed heartily. "Xiao Yuhao, I will call you this from now on." Zhiwei changed his name to Huo Yuhao. "I can give you 10,000 gold soul coins for each of your recipes. At the same time, I can give you 20% of the net profit of each dish while you are studying at Shrek. Of course, the premise is that you improve these recipes to meet the standards of our store. In addition, I can let the store provide you with 5 servings of 1,000-year soul beast ingredients every day, but you have to make an average of 20 dishes for me every month until you want to terminate this deal. How about it?" Zhiwei looked at Huo Yuhao with burning eyes. He has discovered Huo Yuhao's talent in cooking. Now Huo Yuhao uses ordinary ingredients to make such delicious food. If he uses good ingredients, he will definitely be able to go to the next level. If the other party can continue to study cooking, he will definitely be able to make rare delicacies in the future. This is a heaven-sent opportunity for him. His martial soul is special and needs all kinds of food. Meeting Huo Yuhao this time is a pleasant surprise for him. He sent ingredients to Huo Yuhao and cooked 20 dishes every month. just to make sure Huo Yuhao would not neglect his cooking skills after practicing. This was a win-win situation for both of them, Huo Yuhao thought for a moment. It would take him about 10 hours to cook 20 dishes a month, which did not waste too much time. Moreover, there were ingredients from thousand-year-old soul beasts every day. The meat of these soul beasts was rich in energy, which could subtly enhance the physique and accelerate practice. In addition to the income from the recipes, it could be said that he made a lot of money. However, Huo Yuhao was very hesitant. There was no such thing as a free lunch. What was the purpose of this teacher Jiwei being so good to him? Huo Yuhao said directly, "Teacher, the conditions you gave were too generous. I would feel uneasy if I accepted them. Can you tell me why you did this?" Jiwei looked at Huo Yuhao with appreciation. At such a young age, he was not blinded by the benefits. He realized that he could not have any ill will towards him and asked directly. "That was good," Jiwei said directly. "Actually, many people know this. Let me tell you about it. My martial spirit is called the Qi of food. It can be attached to food to give it an auxiliary effect. The more delicious the food, the greater the auxiliary effect. Okay, the best auxiliary effect I have achieved so far is to increase the title Douluo's attributes by 100%. Unfortunately, the Academy has searched all over the continent and cannot find a second copy. In addition, my martial soul is attached to the unpalatable food. Food can also have negative effects if others eat it." Huo Yuhao's eyes lit up. This martial spirit is very powerful, and the key is also very interesting. Jiwei continued, "Although my martial soul is very special, it also has great limitations. I must eat all kinds of delicious food to practice. The more delicious the food, the faster my practice. In addition, if the same delicious food is eaten multiple times, the speed of practice will be reduced until it loses its effect. In order to practice, I tasted almost all the delicacies in the continent and studied my cooking skills to create new delicacies, so many people know about my martial arts. I have been stuck in Contra for nearly 10 years. Eating your cooking today has loosened my almost stagnant cultivation. Therefore, I support you in the hope that you can improve your cooking skills. Invest some time, and maybe with your help I can become a Douluo." Huo Yuhao nodded, finally understanding the reason why Jiwei supported him. He also saw the magic of martial arts. He didn't expect that there was such a food-based martial spirit. The amplifying effect of food depended entirely on the taste of the food. This completely encouraged him to study delicious food. Moreover, Huo Yuhao also wanted to know how to judge whether the taste is good or bad. If it is judged by people's subjective consciousness, can he modify other people's consciousness in the future to increase the auxiliary effect? Huo Yuhao agreed to Jiwei's conditions. This is a completely free benefit, why not? Huo Yuhao patted his chest and said, "Teacher Jiwei, don't worry, I won't give up studying cooking. After all, I want to see what effect such a magical spirit will have when it reaches the title Douluo level." Chapter 32 Su Sanshi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I didn't expect teacher Jiwei's martial spirit to be so special. Tanya couldn't help but sigh. Huo Yuhao and his party had already left the restaurant and were about to return to the academy. It is very special, and the upper limit is also very high. If there is delicious food, teacher Jiwei's auxiliary ability can even surpass martial arts such as Qibao Glazed Pagoda and Rainbow Dragon. Of course, compared to normal food-based soul masters, his shortcomings are also its obvious. Huo Yuhao heard Tanya sigh and said subconsciously. At this time, he was thinking about the advantages and disadvantages of this kind of martial spirit. He wanted to abduct Jiwei from Shrek Academy. What shortcomings? Tanya asked. Normal food-type Contra can supply food for an army, but teacher Jiwei needs to prepare delicious food for the martial spirit to be effective. This is where teacher Jiwei's martial spirit is not as good as the normal food-type martial spirit. Huo Yuhao said eloquently, however, as long as there is delicious food, teacher Jiwei's single-target assistance ability is much greater than that of other food-based soul masters. In addition, Teacher Jiwei's soul power cultivation speed is also very fast, right? I think he is only in his 30s. Even if he looks young, he is probably in his early 40s at most, right? Teacher Jiwei said that he has been stuck in the Contra realm for almost 10 years. In other words, Teacher Jiwei is 30 years old. He became a Contra at around the age of 10. Tanya exclaimed, I didn't even notice that this is a Contra who is about 30 years old, and it is still the most difficult food system to cultivate. Huo Yuhao continued, if there is a force that can continuously provide various delicacies for Teacher Jiwei, I think with the special characteristics of his martial spirit, it is possible for him to be promoted to a title Douluo before the age of 30. And this is what Huo Yuhao values most. Place, if this kind of martial spirit can be passed down, and there is a powerful force to rely on to help him collect various delicacies, this kind of martial spirit will continuously produce top auxiliary spirit Douluo and even title Douluo. The 7 treasure glazed tile sect can only cultivate to soul saint, but the supporting effect is not inferior to that of the 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda's food chi, but it can easily reach soul Douluo or even title Douluo. This can completely become the foundation of a force. Jiang Nannan looked at Huo Yuhao tenderly and said, speaking of which, Teacher Jiwei seems to have the possibility of breaking through the title Douluo because of you, Yuhao. I just didn't know that Teacher Jiwei's soul skills can be attached to the dishes you cook, and the auxiliary ability can how much. Speaking of this, Huo Yuhao was also very curious and decided to give it a try next time he met Teacher Jiwei, Tanya said, speaking of which, Xiao Yuhao, you have become rich now. I didn't expect Teacher Jiwei to be so generous. Speaking of this, Tanya's eyes immediately shone. Huo Yuhao knew at a glance that she must be thinking about food, and sure enough. Xiao Yuhao, I must try the dishes made with the ingredients given by Teacher Jiwei, okay Xiao Yuhao. Tanya winked and pulled Huo Yuhao's sleeve and said coquettishly. Huo Yuhao said helplessly, okay, I will definitely give you a copy, Sister Xiaoya. Wang Dong looked at Tanya coldly, thinking that this was another vixen, and secretly called him a scumbag in his heart. Jiang Nannan couldn't help but doubt Tanya when she saw Xiaoya's appearance, but thinking that Tanya had been inseparable from Bebe, Jiang Nannan felt that she might be overthinking. Jiang Nannan asked, Xiaoya, why haven't you seen Bebe in the past 2 days? Tanya couldn't help but puff up her face and said, Nan, let's not mention him. I don't know why, but that guy has been avoiding me these 2 days. Huo Yuhao felt a little guilty after hearing this. Brother Bebe, your orientation has really changed, right? Although he was planning to seduce Tanya, after spending a few days with Bebe, he felt that Bebe was quite a nice person. Huo Yuhao felt that this was not his fault. Although it might be great to be a brother with Bebe, his girlfriend was even better. While chatting, a few people had already arrived at the entrance of Shrek Academy. From a distance, I could see that the school gate today was surrounded by a dark crowd. In the center of the crowd, a tall young man wearing a black school uniform sat with a golden sword. He looked like a gangster blocking the school gate. The young man looks about the same age as Bebe, with thick eyebrows and tiger eyes, a straight nose and a square mouth, and has a dignified appearance. His sullen face gave off a fierceness to his entire being. The young man is Su Sanshi. Although it was not Jiang Nannan who helped him awaken his martial soul for the second time, he still fell in love with Jiang Nannan just like in the original work. Jiang Nannan's mother was cured with Huo Yuhao's help, so there was no need for Jiang Nannan to sell herself to save her mother. Xianming sect found another girl for Su Sanshi, but Su Sanshi still took the wrong path, so his martial soul was still only half awakened. That girl was not very talented and couldn't come to Shrek Academy. Su Sanshi wanted to find her, but couldn't find her. After the melancholy Su Sanshi came to Shrek Academy, he fell in love with Jiang Nannan at first sight and launched a fierce pursuit of Jiang Nannan, but what he got in exchange was Jiang Nannan's cold face. Su Sanshi was even happier. She treats me differently from others, she has me in her heart. Su Sanshi, who firmly believed in this, did not expect to hear the news today that Jiang Nannan and a junior left the academy hugging each other. Although he was heartbroken, he firmly believed that Jiang Nannan was just deceived. He blocked the entrance of the college until now. Su Sanshi vowed to beat up the junior student and drive him away from Jiang Nannan. seeing Huo Yuhao and the four of them, Su Sancher stood up suddenly, took a few steps, grabbed Huo Yuhao's chest with his big hand, and shouted angrily, "Boy, stay away from Nan Nan." "Su Sancher, how dare you? Su Sancher, what are you doing?" Two cries came out at the same time, from Jiang Nan Nan and Tanya. Jiang Nanan's gentle face was now covered with frost, and she looked at the black-clothed youth coldly. At the same time, her martial spirit possessed her, and her long rabbit ears made her beautiful and elegant face more seductive. Jiang Nanan's second soul ring lit up, gravity control, and Su Sanchi's movements were delayed for a moment. Then Jiang Nanan's third and first soul rings flashed in turn, teleportation, waist arch, and her feet clamped towards Su Sanchi's head. At the same time, Tanya's blue-silver grass also bound Su Sancher, and the Bluetooth entanglement restricted Su Sanchi's movements. Huo Yuhao saw that the young man attacked him without saying a word, and asked him to stay away from Sister Nan Nan. Huo Yuhao immediately sank his face. He didn't even have a martial spirit possessed, and his huge mental power condensed into a giant hammer and smashed Su Sanchi's head. At the same time, Huo Yuhao found that he was picked up from behind and flew into the air. Huo Yuhao looked back and saw Wang Dong's handsome face and the beautiful and dazzling wings of the goddess of light butterfly. Seeing the three of them protecting him at the first time, Huo Yuhao laughed happily. Huo Yuhao was happy, but Su Sancher was very unhappy. He didn't expect that Jiang Nan Nan and Tanya would attack him with their spirits after a simple palm strike. Tanya is fine, the key is Jiang Nan Nan. Su Sancher lamented in his heart, "Nan Nan, do you know that when you hit me, it hurts my heart?" The physical pain doesn't matter to him because he has thick skin, but he can't bear the mental pain. Facing the attack, Su Sancher gave up the palm strike towards Huo Yuhao. The spirit was possessed, and 3 spirit rings instantly rose from his feet, 2 yellow and 1 purple. His originally fair skin suddenly darkened, his muscles swelled, and his whole body grew bigger. The most peculiar thing was that in his right hand, there was a black tortoise-shell shield with a diameter of about 1.5 meters. At the same time, Huo Yuhao's invisible spiritual hammer arrived. The huge mental force blasted towards Su Sancher. Su Sancher didn't know who attacked him. He just felt as if his head had exploded and his mind was blank. He was bleeding from all 7 orifices in an instant, and his martial spirit could not be maintained. The mysterious shield disappeared and his appearance returned to its original appearance. The angry Jiang Nan Nan was not prepared to show mercy. At this time, the defenseless Su Sancher was instantly thrown into the air by the waist bow. Jiang Nan Nan moved again in an instant and hit Su Sanchi's stomach hard with a whip kick. Su Sancher fell to the ground like a meteor and fainted. Add another chapter. Chapter 33 Classes start. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing Su Sanchi's miserable appearance, Tanya took 2 steps forward to explore Su Sanchi's injuries. Tanya breathed a sigh of relief when she found that Su Sancher was only seriously injured and was still alive. Although they were very angry with Su Sancher, if they really killed Su Sancher, they would be asking for trouble, and even the academy would not be able to protect them. Fortunately, Su Sancher was only seriously injured. In this way, the truth is on their side. The academy will protect them, so they don't have to worry about the Xianming sect behind Su Sancher coming to cause trouble. Moreover, Su Sancher may also be low due to active attacks. Grade students were expelled. Tanya looked at Su Sanchi's younger brothers and shouted, "Hey, take your boss for treatment quickly. If he dies, don't blame us." Then Tanya loudly said to the onlookers, "As you can see, it was Su Sancher who attacked the juniors who had just entered school first. We fought back reasonably, but in desperation we struck too hard. Well, that's it. It's just a few ribs, severe injuries, coma, and bleeding. You have to prove it to us when asked by the academy." The crowd of onlookers took 2 steps back in unison. What does it mean to have a few broken ribs, serious injuries, coma, and bleeding? Is this a minor injury? Looking at the crowd that was a little silent for a while, Xiao narrowed her eyes and muttered, "It seems that I can't speak even if Bebe is not here. I have to have a good talk with Bebe." Someone in the crowd immediately shouted, "Senior Tanya, don't worry, we will definitely turn to you when asked by the college. Tanya's eyebrows stood up. What does it mean to face us? That means telling the truth and repaying the truth. Yes, yes, tell the truth and report accordingly. Tanya nodded with satisfaction. He looked at Huo Yuhao and the others, clapped his hands and said, "Okay, let's call it a day." Afterwards, the group of people strolled around casually. Tanya and Jiang Nannan talked about Su Sanshi and reminded Huo Yuhao to pay attention to the other party causing trouble again. Then they went back to their dormitories. In the next few days, besides practicing, Huo Yuhao would go to the restaurant to improve the recipes. He would also bring some food to Jiang Nannan, Tanya, Bebe, and Wang Dong every day. Speaking of Wang Dong, he had been lukewarm to him these days. He would humbly say something to him when he had nothing to do. More than once, he heard Wang Dong whispering that he was a scumbag. Huo Yuhao felt that Wang Dong seemed to have some misunderstanding about him. If he can become a god in the future, his lifespan will be endless. An ordinary person may have more than one wife in 100 years. What's wrong with him finding a few more wives in tens of millions of years? On average, he is more dedicated than anyone else in the world. He just prepaid for his future wife until now. This is just a kind of advanced consumption, coupled with his damn succubus physique. Just ask Wang Dong, aren't you happy? The flood of your happiness has washed away the Dragon King Temple. Bah, you 3-second girls still call me a scumbag? Real shrimp head. Hey, classes started today, are you still sitting here? Wang Dong's voice woke Huo Yuhao out of his thoughts. Are the classes starting now? Huo Yuhao asked subconsciously. I have been busy changing recipes and practicing these past 2 days, and I have even forgotten the time. Wang Dong turned his head and said proudly, there's still half an hour left. It's time to hurry up. I haven't had breakfast yet. Come over and eat. Huo Yuhao took out the food he had made during the past 2 days of experiments from his soul guide and placed it on the only table in the dormitory. Oh. Wang Dong responded lightly, seemingly reluctant, but moved his chopsticks very quickly. Next time I want to eat what I had for lunch yesterday. After eating, Huo Yuhao was clearing the table when he heard Wang Dong say politely without knowing what to say. Huo Yuhao paused and turned to look at Wang Dong. Wang Dong turned her head to avoid his gaze. If you look carefully, you can see that her fair cheeks were lightly blushing. Huo Yuhao sighed inwardly and felt sorry for you. Don't say it so confidently. At least say something nice. I'll be happy to help you do it. No. Huo Yuhao flatly refused. The lunch meal is too greasy and not suitable for breakfast. I can pay. Wang Dong gritted his teeth and said. She also saw that Huo Yuhao was probably short of money, so she decided to challenge Huo Yuhao's weakness. Paying money. Huo Yuhao didn't like doing business with friends and relatives. He was about to refuse, but then he thought that the Haotian sect was not short of the money for these 2 meals, so there was no need for him to save money for the Haotian sect. Then he changed his voice and said. It's not impossible to pay. A meal of 1,000 gold soul coins is worth the price. I'll make a reservation for 1 year first. This is 1 million gold soul coins. Wang Dong threw the black card of 1 million gold soul coins to Huo Yuhao without blinking. Okay, sir, what would you like to have for lunch? Huo Yuhao politely put his right hand on his chest and asked like a restaurant waiter. When Wang Dong saw Huo Yuhao like this, the corners of his tense mouth could not help but curl up, but he tried his best to suppress it. There's nothing you want to eat for lunch, so just have whatever you want. Huo Yuhao looked at Wang Dong and couldn't help but laugh. Wang Dong's pretty face turned red and he turned to the side and muttered, when you cook all at once on the weekend, I'll just go over and order. Whatever you usually eat, just prepare it for me. What? When the 2 of them arrived in the classroom, there were not many people there. I randomly found an empty seat and sat down. After a while, several little girls pretended to be nonchalant and changed their seats next to the 2 of them. Huo Yuhao whispered to Wang Dong, my appearance is no worse than yours. Why do these little girls always like to look at you but not me when we walk together? Wang Dong squinted at Huo Yuhao with a smile in his eyes. You are so shameless. Everyone can see that I am more handsome than you. Huo Yuhao smiled but didn't smile. You are very handsome. I don't know who was crying in my arms a few days ago, like a little crybaby, and didn't dare to look up to see people. My clothes were all wet. You. Wang Dong was embarrassed and angry, her pretty face flushed red, and she grabbed Huo Yuhao's hand and wanted to bite it, but then she thought of Huo Yuhao's damn strange ability, so she stopped talking, threw Huo Yuhao's hand on the table, and turned her head away and ignored him. Huo Yuhao smiled and didn't provoke Wang Dong anymore, but turned his eyes to the other side. Wang Dong sat by the window on the left side of Huo Yuhao, and the empty seat on the right side of Huo Yuhao was occupied by a petite girl. The girl didn't look stunning, but she was pretty, and very attractive. From the beginning, the girl had a bit of shyness on her face, and her eyes kept looking to the left. But what Huo Yuhao regretted was that the little girl was not looking at him. Her eyes were always on Wang Dong's handsome face. When Huo Yuhao blocked her, Huo Yuhao felt that the little girl wanted to use her eyes to push him aside. When Huo Yuhao talked about Wang Dong crying in his arms, the little girl who was eavesdropping immediately had a picture in her mind. She immediately opened her eyes wide and stared at the two of them without blinking. Chapter 34 Xiao. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Huo Yuhao felt uncomfortable being stared at by the little girl, so he said hello, my name is Huo Yuhao. The little girl reacted, looked away a little shyly, and said softly, hello, my name is Xiao. Huo Yuhao looked the little girl up and down carefully. It turned out that this was Xiao. She had a delicate body and a lowly appearance. He knew at a glance that her future life would not be ups and downs and she would never be a great person. The little girl glanced at Wang Dong again, and finally plucked up the courage to say, classmate Huo Yuhao, what is the name of the classmate next to you? Can you tell me? Huo Yuhao paused. Come on, the little girl's thoughts are written all over her face. She is another girl who has been led astray by Wang Dong's charm. But, girl, don't love her, Lily will have no consequences. Wang Dong. The little girl was obviously much happier after hearing the answer, and asked with curiosity in her eyes, are you two good friends? Just the kind of good friends who are very, very good. That the corner of Huo Yuhao's mouth twitched. What do you mean by a good friend? That Xiao blushed, her eyes wandered, and she whispered, I heard that there is a kind of friendship between two boys that is more than just friends. I think between you two, we don't have one. Wang Dong, who was eavesdropping next to him, heard this and immediately shouted loudly. Her handsome face turned even redder, and her slender neck was covered with red clouds. Her big eyes that were both shy and angry glared at Huo Yuhao, who was pretending to be innocent next to her. Xiao breathed a sigh of relief when she heard this. She was afraid that the two handsome guys would be internalized like this. It doesn't matter that this person is called Huo Yuhao, but this Wang Dong is a pity. Xiao happily introduced herself to Wang Dong with crooked eyebrows. At this moment, someone shouted, Master Mijie is here, and the classroom suddenly fell into silence. The students' eyes were all looking towards the classroom door. In the eyes of the students, a person walked in at the door of the classroom. She was an old woman with chicken skin and gray hair coiled on her head. She was wearing a white robe and was of medium height. What is very strange is that she has a pair of very bright eyes, and the black eyes are full of light. The old woman had a sullen face, her back straight, and she walked behind the podium in a few steps. The old woman's gaze calmly swept from left to right. Suddenly, everyone felt like they were being watched by her, and an invisible pressure suddenly appeared in their hearts. Who said that just now? Stand up and don't let me drag you out. There was silence in the classroom. Huo Yuhao was still wondering why his nickname for Zhou spread to the whole class. The old woman stared at everyone in the classroom sharply, and for a long time, she yelled in a hoarse voice, what a bunch of trash, they don't even dare to admit what they said, and they still want to become a powerful soul master. No. Leave school early and go home now. After listening to her words, many students showed anger on their faces. They were all carefully selected from various countries in the mainland to be able to pass the assessment and become students of Shrek Academy. They are all arrogant masters. Where have you ever received such an insult? Immediately, a student stood up and shouted loudly, I am not a waste. That's what I shouted. Huo Yuhao sighed inwardly. He is such a young man. With Zhou Yi's temper, he might be fired. Zhou Yi sneered and said, very good, you're quite smart. You can pack your bags and leave the academy. From this moment on, you are no longer a student of Shrek Academy. Huh? The student was immediately shocked, and other students were also in an uproar. Why? The student shouted with an angry look on his face. Zhou Yi said coldly, disrespecting teachers, having strength but no morals, and cultivating talents will only bring disaster to any country instead of help. Therefore, Shrek Academy will not accept students like you. Huo Yuhao looked at the farce in front of him with cold eyes. All the students looked at him with either anger, cowardice, approval, or indifference. Huo Yuhao realized that wasn't this a good opportunity to win people's hearts. He has made up his mind to create a force in the future, mainly to collect faith and leave himself a way to believe in becoming a god. He also found the method of believing in becoming a god from Electrolux's memory. The best thing for him to build a powerful team in the future is to win over these freshmen who enrolled with him. He can slowly influence these people from now on. As for those who have grown up and have their own ideas, even if they are recruited in the future, they will only be talents rather than like-minded people. Winning over people's hearts starts now. Immediately, Huo Yuhao stood up and said loudly, Teacher, there is no need to be so strict. Giving people nicknames does not rise to the level of being morally bad or harmful to the country. Huo Yuhao is not worried about being expelled. Teacher Jiwei knows the truth. Can Zhou Yi expel him? Therefore, if you offend Zhou Yi, you will be offended. It is not a big problem. When the classmate saw someone standing up to speak for him, he immediately cast a grateful look. The surrounding classmates also looked at Huo Yuhao with various looks. Huo Yuhao continued, respect the teacher. The premise is that the teacher has teacher ethics and fulfills the teacher's responsibilities. What is the teacher's responsibility? Preaching, teaching, and solving doubts, but I didn't see you fulfill any of the teacher's responsibilities just now. I only see you pressuring students to drop out of school. What did you preach? What kind of teachings did you teach? Why do you want students to respect you? That old face with human skin. Good. Very good. You are young, but you are quite eloquent, but I don't know how strong you are. Zhou Yi suppressed anger in her eyes, stared at Huo Yuhao coldly and said, I'll tell you why I can do this. Just because I am a six-ringed soul emperor, just because I am a teacher at Shrek Academy. 6 soul rings, 2 yellow, 2 purple and 2 black, rose up under Zhou Yi's feet, and the soul power pressure came towards Huo Yuhao overwhelmingly. Huo Yuhao was able to persist in the face of overwhelming pressure. Wang Dong'er also stood up and approached Huo Yuhao at this time, and used his soul power to help Huo Yuhao resist Zhou Yi's soul power pressure. Huo Yuhao turned his head and smiled at Wang Dong'er with soft eyes. Wang Dong'er stared back with a blaming look, as if to say that you only know how to cause trouble. Wang Dong'er took 2 steps closer to Huo Yuhao. Xiao on the other side also stood up suddenly. Huo Yuhao looked at the girl in confusion, wondering why she was meddling in other people's affairs. Is she really a good person? If Xiao could hear Huo Yuhao's inner voice, she would definitely cry. She was sitting there quietly, eating melons and watching the show, but the teacher's pressure came over. She was sitting next to Huo Yuhao, so she was inevitably affected. If she didn't stand up, even if she could bear it, the stool she was sitting on would not be able to bear it. In order to avoid sitting on the ground, Xiao stood up resolutely. Then, she saw that all the eyes in the class were turned to her again. Xiao, Sigma, degree winky face, feeling a little guilty by everyone's gaze. Xiao could only try to open her eyes and stare back at these classmates one by one. The classmates in the class were stared at by such a little girl who looked petite and weak in appearance, and who was obviously an auxiliary spirit master. The little girl's eyes seemed to say, a bunch of trash. A little girl like me dared to stand up against tyranny, but you dare not. Trash. So, under Xiao Zhao's gaze, and under the guidance of the soul interference that Huo Yuhao used at some point, these students stood up one after another and confronted Zhou Yi. As the students stood up one by one under her gaze, Xiao was stunned. The fan fictions of Peerless Tang's sect that I have read have very few Xiao writings, which is a bit regrettable. I should give Xiao more plots. There are two types of female protagonists. One is both heartwarming and heartwarming, such as Wang Dong'er, Xiao, Tangya, Ruishou, and Xue Di. There are also some who only heartwarming but not heartwarming, such as Xiao Wu and Bibi Dong. Anyway, it is definitely a stallion article. Whether it is astringent or not depends on the review. Chapter 35 Teaching Zhou Yi a Lesson. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhou Yi felt a little numb at this moment. She didn't expect that just by expelling one student, all the other students would get together and fight against her. Although she likes to expel students to establish her authority and force them to work hard, she is not stupid. She can't expel all students, right? That academy will definitely tear her apart. However, if she gives in to students easily, she will no longer have to be a teacher in the future. Not only will she lose her prestige among students for so many years, but she will also be labeled as having no teacher ethics. Therefore, Zhou Yi turned her gaze to Huo Yuhao. In her opinion, Huo Yuhao is the culprit that caused all this. As long as he is dealt with and expelled, the students will be frightened by her again. Huo Yuhao felt the coldness and sharpness in Zhou Yi's eyes, and without any panic, he took the lead to break the confrontation. When I got along with teacher Ji Wei before I entered school, I thought the teachers at Shrek Academy were all humble, polite, and knowledgeable people like him. I didn't expect that this impression would be broken by you, teacher, on the first day of school. Hearing Huo Yuhao say Ji Wei, Zhou Yi's expression changed for a moment, and Huo Yuhao smiled softly. This was his first step, to show off his horses, so that Zhou Yi would not dare to act rashly and use his strength to crush him arbitrarily. Huo Yuhao continued, as a student, it is difficult for me to agree with your ethics and professionalism as a teacher. But you are right about one thing, that is, in this world, strength speaks for itself after all. As a six-ringed soul, you emperor, it's natural that we students should respect you. That's right. The weak in this world should respect the strong. This is the second step, to build a high platform for Zhou Yi. However, the world is not as simple as it seems. Sometimes, the weak people see are not necessarily weak, and the strong people see are not necessarily strong. The teacher must also dislike my dissatisfaction. Obedient student. How about this, teacher, if you can hold my hand for 30 seconds, then I will be expelled instead of that classmate. If you lose, then teacher, you can't kill anyone in the class today. How about expelling a classmate? Teacher, a six-ringed soul emperor shouldn't be afraid, right? The last step, the succubus body, attacks. Zhou Yi took a deep look at Huo Yuhao. She could no longer guess what the young man was thinking. Okay. Zhou Yi still agreed. If she was afraid of a challenge that lasted for 30 seconds in the hands of a first-level soul master, then she would not ask for any prestige. The knowledge in Huo Yuhao's mouth prevented her from expelling this student at will. So she could only agree. As for what Huo Yuhao said about not falling for 30 seconds, was there any conspiracy behind it? Just kidding, she is the soul emperor, and even if she conspires, she doesn't believe that a one-ringed soul master can plot against her. Are you sure it wasn't Huo Yuhao who said the opposite? The students standing there were all stunned, and their doubtful eyes were all focused on Huo Yuhao. Now they all wonder if their ears heard it wrong. If a soul emperor like Zhou Yi can hold on to him for 30 seconds, he will win. Are you sure this classmate doesn't want to stay in Shrek Academy and wants to be expelled? The classmate who was about to be expelled just now was so grateful to Huo Yuhao that he shouted as soon as his head got hot, "My benefactor, even if you lose, there is no need to expel you, just expel me, Su Hang. If my benefactor, you leave Shrek Academy, whichever college you go to, I, Su Hang, will follow you to whichever college you go to, even if I don't stay here at Shrek. Don't worry, I won't lose, and none of us will be expelled." Huo Yuhao calmed everyone down with a smile. His gentle words seemed to have the power to stabilize people's hearts, making even the classmates who doubted him believe that he could win. Only Wang Dong saw through everything, because she was familiar with what Huo Yuhao said about holding on for 30 seconds. She was a newborn calf who was not afraid of tigers, so she was tricked by Huo Yuhao in this way. To this day, she always recalls the pleasure and shame that penetrated her soul, especially now, but she would not remind the old lady teacher who had suffered. She just wanted to watch a show now. Watching others suffer the same suffering she had suffered and fall into the same pits she had fallen into was also a kind of fun, wasn't it? You can't be the only one to be embarrassed. Huo Yuhao walked up to the podium, stretched out his hand, and said calmly, "Teacher, let's begin." Zhou Yi's eyes narrowed, hesitating for a moment, then stretched out her hand to hold Huo Yuhao's hand. Huo Yuhao watched Zhou Yi quietly, observing Zhou Yi's reaction. If Zhou Yi's reaction was small, Huo Yuhao would not use simulation to cover her up. If her reaction was big, in order to prevent Zhou Yi from jumping over the wall, Huo Yuhao would have to use simulation to help her cover up. Zhou Yi's hands were not as disguised as her face. When Zhou Yi's slender hand came up, Huo Yuhao couldn't help but rub the back of his hand with his thumb. Huo Yuhao only felt that it felt smooth and soft as jade, which was completely different from the smooth and delicate feeling of girls like Wang Dong, Tanya and others. As expected of a young and mature woman, in one word, soft. Before Huo Yuhao could feel anything, Zhou Yi knelt down behind the podium and used her last strength to break free from Huo Yuhao. Huo Yuhao looked down at Zhou Yi who was lying on the ground, but her disguise was a bit ugly, so Huo Yuhao had no interest in admiring her. Huo Yuhao said calmly, "Teacher, you lose." The students below immediately cheered. They won. Their sight was blocked by the podium and they could not see Zhou Yi's appearance at this time, but there was no doubt that Zhou Yi had fallen to the ground, and it didn't even take 3 seconds. How did this classmate do it? That is a soul emperor. He is so awesome. Huo Yuhao asked with a smile, "Teacher, why don't you get up and announce that I have won?" Zhou Yi raised her head wordlessly, her watery eyes full of pleading, and shook her head in rejection. She didn't want her appearance at this time to be seen by more students. Huo Yuhao paused and took a deep breath, feeling that his spirit had been greatly traumatized. Why does a 100-year-old woman act like a virgin? Zhou Yi's current appearance is really eye-catching. Can you imagine the wrinkled face of a 60 to 70-year-old woman looking at you with moist, alluring, plaintive eyes, her face full of spring, looking up to beg you? Huo Yuhao saw it at this time. After Huo Yuhao came back to his senses, he bent down and stroked the fair and moist skin of Zhou Yi's collarbone. He found the gap in the human skin mask and pulled it gently, revealing a smooth and charming face. At this time, Zhou Yi's original "She looks pretty good, she is a beauty." After appreciating the beauty kneeling in front of him and washing his eyes, Huo Yuhao then said to Zhou Yi, "Being a teacher doesn't actually require you to rely on your old age. Therefore, teacher, you'd better look better with your original appearance." After saying that, Huo Yuhao stood up and announced, "Teacher Zhou is feeling unwell. Let's study by ourselves for a while." Zhou Yi watched Huo Yuhao walk off the stage with complicated emotions, wanting to breathe a sigh of relief. The red lips opened slightly, and a sultry moan slipped out of her tongue. Zhou Yi quickly covered her mouth, held her breath, and did not dare to move. Zhou Yi's thoughts were a little scattered. The moment she first came into contact with Huo Yuhao's skin, she felt 10 times more happy than before. When Huo Yuhao scratched the back of her hand with his thumb, she couldn't help it anymore and used her last sense to kneel down behind the podium. Blocking the sight of other students, he broke free from the palm of the student in front of him. Although the student would see her blooming like a flower, she could no longer control that much. It was only then that she came back to her senses a little. "When I thought about what happened just now, I felt a deep sense of shame and fear. You must know that she is in the classroom, on the podium, in front of 100 students. If she was seen like this by the whole class, she simply couldn't imagine what kind of rumors there would be in the academy. Rumors about seducing students, playing with small toys in class, etc. will definitely appear." When Zhou Yi thought about this situation, her breathing became messy for a moment. It took her a long time to completely suppress the messy thoughts in her heart. Wang Dong watched Huo Yuhao come back from the podium and glared at her fiercely. Then he pulled Huo Yuhao and whispered in his ear, "You can even attack such an old woman. You are really a big bastard who is not taboo on meat and vegetables." Huo Yuhao didn't feel guilty at all, and said angrily, "What are you thinking about? I just want to teach her a lesson so that she will cause less trouble to us in the future." Wang Dong suddenly felt a little embarrassed. "That was my mistake." Until Zhou finally stood up from behind the podium, what caught Wang Dong's eyes was not the old wrinkled face at first, but a charming beauty. The beauty teacher's face was still full of wrinkles. Spring remains. Seeing this, Wang Dong felt that she might have been cheated. Wang Dong. Wang Dong looked at Huo Yuhao with a resentful look, opened his lips slightly, and said silently to Huo Yuhao, "Just wait, I will tell Sister Nan Nan and Sister Xiao exactly what happened today." Chapter 36, Remarks on the Launch. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A new author and a new book. From writing 500 to 600 words in an hour at the beginning to writing thousands of words in an hour now, it can be considered a rapid improvement. Referring to the hand speed, this book was missed in the first trial promotion, and had to be updated continuously for 2 days. It was missed again in the second trial promotion. After the update, it did not advance to the second round of recommendations. The process can be said to be full of twists and turns. I thought about simply cutting it off and starting a new book, but finally decided to continue to update and give it a try. There are drafts in stock. After the release, if the drafts are more than 20 chapters, there will be more than 3 stable updates. If there are less than 20 chapters, there will be more than 2 stable updates. Continuous updates, the subsequent plot will be written as better and better as possible. Before the end of the first supernatural succubus body, the protagonist will get his first real heroine. The second ability is to fuse materials, the third is to go to Douluo One to obtain the second martial soul, and then the god King Tang San is reborn by the protagonist, and the protagonist takes the lead in intercepting all opportunities. After the Soul Master competition, there will be the first confrontation with Haotian sect, god King Tang, and Tang Hao. The protagonist will lead a group of Shrek people to leave, and then the 2 worlds will be connected, in the plot of Douluo One and some plots and arrangements on the Soul Beast side. Both Tang Sans will end in Qianquan asking Love Valley. Of course, there are many female protagonists. Don't abuse the protagonist, don't suppress the protagonist's strength, and have fun as much as you want. I hope to read more and subscribe, as well as recommend votes and monthly votes, and ask for support. I have established a group number, 604751344. Chapter 37, Those Who Don't Dare to Cause Trouble Are Mediocre. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhou stood behind the podium, scanning the students below with sharp eyes. This time, no one avoided her gaze. Everyone straightened their backs and looked directly at her with burning eyes. Zhou frowned. Such a reaction from the students was contrary to the effect he wanted. It seemed that her prestige in the class had been severely damaged. She lowered her face and tried to become more dignified and cold, but without the human skin mask, she looked a bit like a little girl losing her temper with her boyfriend. She said solemnly, "My name is Zhou, and I am your class teacher. In my class, you can resist me and disobey me, as long as you can defeat me like the classmate just now. But if you don't have this ability, just behave yourself. Be obedient to me. Wastes are not qualified to make conditions or suggestions here. What I want to cultivate is monsters, not trash, and not idiots." Hearing Zhou Yi's words, Huo Yuhao couldn't help but feel helpless. He didn't expect that Zhou Yi could still pretend like this at this time. Could she only teach by intimidating students? In Huo Yuhao's view, a teacher's prestige should come from the teacher's noble personality, from the teacher's own strength and knowledge, from the energy and emotion invested in teaching students, but not from the student's fear. It's a pity that in terms of personality charm, it's hard to say Zhou Yi is good, and it's too absolute to say bad. In terms of strength, Zhou Yi has it. With her soul emperor cultivation, she is more than enough to teach new students who don't even have 3 rings. It's a pity that her strength is only used to oppress the students instead of teaching them. As for Zhou Yi's emotional investment in students, maybe she would be emotionally invested in the leading people, but for the others, she would only invest in intimidation and coercion. Huo Yuhao calmly watched Zhou Yi's pretending to be majestic. Compared with the previous face, at least this face was very good-looking. And it was this face that just now showed a charming expression under the podium, looking up at him. Huo Yuhao recalled the scene at that time and suddenly watched more enthusiastically. Feeling Huo Yuhao's gaze, Zhou Yi felt as if she was standing naked in front of him, with a light on her back. She tried her best to scratch Huo Yuhao calmly with her peripheral vision. Then he said, "In the past few days since signing up, everyone who has fought has stood up." Huo Yuhao stood up. Wang Dong'er and his wife followed suit and stood up. The whole class once again focused their attention on the two of them. "It's only been a few days since school started, so why are you already starting to get into fights?" "Just two." Zhou Yi raised his eyebrows. "What a bunch of trash. Don't you know what it means to be mediocre if you don't dare to cause trouble? Except for the two of them, everyone else should go out and run around Shrek Square. 100 laps, this is your first test of school. If you fail to finish, I have plenty of ways to punish you." Hearing Zhou Yi's words, the classmates were in an uproar. It's only been a few days since school started, why are they fighting with others? Why are they exempt from the test if they have a fight, but they have to run 100 laps without a fight, and there are penalties for failing to finish? This is not fair. At this time, Huo Yuhao said to Zhou Yi, "Teacher, I don't agree with what you said about being mediocre if you don't dare to cause trouble. Wang Dong and I don't need to be exempted from this 100-lap running test. So, we still take the test with your classmates." Of course Huo Yuhao knew that in the end he and Wang Dong would have to run 100 laps and listen to Zhou Yi's talk, so he might as well express his intention to share the joys and sorrows with his classmates. Zhou Yi said coldly, "Of course you and Wang Dong have to take the test. However, you must first tell me clearly about questioning our Shrek Academy's school motto. Otherwise, even if I don't expel you, other teachers will not after hearing this. Indulge you." "School motto? Teacher, what do you mean?" Huo Yuhao asked. "Don't act stupid. Not daring to cause trouble is mediocre. This is the school motto left by Flanders, the first dean of Shrek Academy." Huo Yuhao pretended to be suddenly enlightened and said, "I didn't expect that the school motto of Shrek Academy is that you don't dare to cause trouble and you are mediocre. This is the first time I heard about it, so I am really disappointed with Shrek Academy. I dare to ask Teacher Zhou Yi. The so-called fear of causing trouble is mediocre. Then would you be willing to give a titled Douluo a slap in the face? If you don't know the enemy's situation and provoke them at will, you are just a fool." Zhou Yi sneered. "In other words, you should inquire about other people's strengths and weaknesses in advance, walk around those who are stronger than you, and bully and provoke those who are weaker than you. But isn't this right? Such people are obviously trash who like to cause trouble and bully the weak. How come this kind of person is a genius and a monster? Is this the kind of genius and monster that Shrek Academy cultivates?" Zhou Yi was speechless by Huo Yuhao's two words. The freshmen around him also looked at each other, and for the first time, his impression of Shrek was shaken. At this moment, a majestic voice came from the door of the class. "Of course we at Shrek Academy are not cultivating this kind of trash who only bullies the weak. We are cultivating the kind of strong people who are brave enough to challenge." This classmate's understanding of the school motto is biased. Everyone in the class looked at the door and saw an old man in white standing there. Director Douluo One, whom Huo Yuhao had met during the entrance examination, was standing respectfully beside him, while all the students were guessing the old man's identity. Zhou Yi respectfully stepped forward and saluted. "Hello, Dean Yan," that he turned out to be the dean of Shrek Academy. None of the students expected that such a gentle old man like an ordinary person would be the dean of Shrek Academy, and he would appear in front of them so simply. Almost everyone subconsciously straightened their bodies. Huo Yuhao secretly looked at the old man in front of him, and considered what would happen if Shaozhe heard what he had just said. According to the original book, this man is also a petty and indecisive man, who might make things difficult for him. Shaozhe nodded to Zhou Yi, and looked at Huo Yuhao with scrutiny. After a long time, seeing that the young man in front of him was still calm and unhurried, Shaozhe smiled and said, "You must be Huo Yuhao. I heard Jiwei talk about you. You are indeed mature and steady. However, you seem to have some misunderstandings about the school motto of our Shrek Academy." Shaozhe slowly put away his smile, exuding the aura of a superior, and pressed towards Huo Yuhao. He was not going to really punish Huo Yuhao. According to the Academy's intention, they would even try their best to win him over. Huo Yuhao had helped Jiwei's cultivation level, which had not moved for 10 years, to slowly increase. If he could help Jiwei become a title Douluo, with Jiwei's auxiliary ability, it would be another huge boost to Shrek's strength. However, winning talents is like training an eagle. You have to suppress him first, then give him some benefits to win him over, suppress him again, and win him over again. After a long time, the talents will be loyal. They, Shrek, have been winning students in this way for thousands of years. In fact, the Academy even specially indulged and even trained a group of external teachers like Zhou to do this work. Chapter 38 Shaozhe. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Huo Yuhao was not affected by Shaozhe's momentum at all, and said calmly, "I just understand this sentence according to its original meaning. If the college wants to encourage students to dare to challenge and be brave enough to challenge, they can completely define these 8 words as the school motto can even promote some people and deeds who dare to challenge and challenge as examples, instead of using an ambiguous sentence as a school motto to mislead students and teachers." Shaozhe's face was filled with a smile again, but there was no smile in his eyes. He stared at Huo Yuhao. The new student in front of him actually suggested changing the school motto. Young people today are so arrogant. How could he change the school motto passed down by his ancestor? He is a staunch conservative of Shrek Academy. He has been working hard to oppose innovation, suppress the Soul Guidance Department, and maintain the supremacy of the Martial Arts Department in the Academy. How can he change the ancestral school motto? Even if he clearly knew that this sentence was wrong, he still wanted to make it right. Doesn't what this young man said about more publicity make sense? The college needs to do more publicity to let everyone understand the true meaning of the school motto. Shaozhe nodded and said, "There is indeed a mistake in the work of the college, which actually caused students to misunderstand the meaning of the school motto. It seems that more publicity must be done in the future to let the students of Shrek College understand that not daring to cause trouble is mediocrity. It is the spirit of students who dare to challenge themselves." Shaozhe turned back to Du Weiluan and said, "Wei Len, take note, we must focus on promoting this in the future." After Du Weiluan arranged these things, Shaozhe showed a kind smile and said to Huo Yuhao, "I thought about the publicity suggestion you mentioned and it is indeed feasible, so I decided to adopt it. Well, the Academy will hold a challenge in half a month. All students are encouraged to participate in the competition in the Challenger Arena. As the proposer, how about you be the first challenger? If you can win the competition, the college will also give you as the proposer additional rewards." Award. When Shaozhe said this, he had a smile on his face, and his eyes were full of eager expectations and encouragement, just like a kind old man encouraging his juniors to make progress. However, no one can know what he is thinking in his heart. In Shaozhe's heart, he felt that the student in front of him who dared to speak ill of Shrek Academy and give him advice in person was a bit too arrogant, which was not conducive to the Academy's efforts to win over him. Fortunately, there are many geniuses in the Academy, and this boy is no more than a first-level soul master. Let the other geniuses in the Academy take a beating on his arrogance, and he will know how powerful the Academy is. Then the Academy will reward him as usual. Shouldn't he be grateful to the Academy? If it wasn't for Jiwei to be promoted to title Douluo, he wouldn't bother to target a minor character like this. Everyone in the first class of freshmen did not expect that the Dean of Shrek Academy was so amiable. He even took seriously the suggestions given by the freshmen and even decided to hold a challenger arena on the spot. How friendly this is. Their slight wavering towards Shrek Academy dissipated in an instant. Huo Yuhao was quite surprised that Shaozhe actually wanted to set up a challenger arena for the school motto, but he still decided to participate in this challenger arena. His strength has improved tremendously since he obtained the Tianmeng Soul Ring. but he doesn't have much actual combat experience. He replayed the battle between himself and Wang Dong'er several times, and found that he relied heavily on the number of soul skills and mental suppression. Although this was also part of his strength, it concealed his ability to fight in close combat. Shortcomings: he couldn't even beat that lazy dog Wang Dong'er in close combat. Huo Yuhao felt that this was really a shame. He felt that he should at least hone his melee combat ability to the point where he could surpass Wang Dong'er and reach the power of 2 winters. Melee combat doesn't have to be prominent, but it can't be a flaw. This is like a mythical beast that may not be too strong, but it must not be able to fly, otherwise it will become a joke, right? Groudon. After receiving a satisfactory reply, Shaozhe nodded and smiled at the students in the class. Students, please continue with class. After saying that, he and Douluo One left for other classes. Zhou watched Shaozhe go away, her face fell again, and she said in a cold voice, "You all heard it, the school motto is to encourage everyone to be brave enough to challenge, not to bully the weak or cause trouble. Now that I have everything, go down and run for me and complete 100 laps in 1 hour." Being distracted like this, Zhou no longer bothered to worry about who Huo Yuhao and Wang Dong'er were fighting and why. Ever since she came to this freshman class, Zhou felt that everything was going wrong, and the source of everything was that Huo Yuhao. But she didn't dare to target Huo Yuhao at this time. Not to mention that she already knew that Huo Yuhao's background was Jiwei. With Huo Yuhao's own strange ability, she didn't want to try it again in public. If in private, Zhou shook his head to get rid of this thought. Huo Yuhao, Wang Dong'er, and Xiao, who had been following them, arrived at Shrek Square. This is where they want to run. 1 lap is about 400 meters, and 100 laps is 40 kilometers. It is difficult for ordinary people to finish it in 1 hour. Even for students with a foundation of soul masters, some may not be able to achieve it. Huo Yuhao's physical fitness has greatly improved since his ability awakened. His physical fitness is now better than Wang Dong'er's, and running 100 laps is no problem. As for worrying about whether running will hurt his knees, Huo Yuhao is not worried at all. What do you think soul power is for? If you are afraid of hurting your knees when you run and exercise, then you might as well stop practicing. If you practice, you may go crazy. Huo Yuhao took the lead, leading at a relatively easy pace. Seeing that Huo Yuhao was running so fast, Wang Dong'er was not to be outdone and followed closely behind Huo Yuhao. The other students also consciously followed Huo Yuhao. Huo Yuhao noticed that everyone was running at his own speed, and his speed was too fast. If he ran like this, some people might not be able to last 100 laps. Huo Yuhao slowed down and reminded, everyone should run at your own pace. Don't deliberately follow the pace of others. As long as your speed can finish the run in an hour, it doesn't need to be too fast. The key is to maintain your physical strength and ensure that just finish it on time. After hearing Huo Yuhao's reminder, most people began to plan their speed according to their own physical strength, and a small number of people followed Huo Yuhao. Huo Yuhao regained his speed and began to use strength, and soon got rid of these people. Seeing that Xiao couldn't keep up with Huo Yuhao, he ran away at his own pace. Only Wang Dong'er followed closely behind, complaining out of breath from exhaustion, "Why are you running so fast? Anyway, you just need to finish the run within an hour." Huo Yuhao smiled and said, "Wouldn't it be better to finish the run as soon as possible?" "Yes, finish running early and rest early." Wang Dong'er agreed. Chapter 39 The 9 Vajras. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Then Wang Dong'er asked Huo Yuhao with curiosity, "I found that you have changed a little today, and you have become more helpful. I know you are not a kind person. Tell me, what is your purpose? Don't slander me. I have been helpful since I was a child. When I see an old man, I will help him walk back and forth." Huo Yuhao was surprised at Wang Dong'er's sharpness, but he couldn't admit that he had other purposes. Wang Dong'er's face was full of disbelief. "If you don't believe me, you can ask the guy who is basking in the sun downstairs of our dormitory. I have helped him walk several times in the past few days." Huo Yuhao produced actual evidence to prove that he is indeed a helpful person. He did help Moon An walk around again in the past few days, but he didn't ask for it on his own initiative. He was embarrassed to catch someone and pit him, right? Who knew that Moonan actually asked for it on his own initiative, so he had nothing to be embarrassed about. The old man would still suppress him with coercion. After coming once or twice, Huo Yuhao found that his body was much more transparent and his physical fitness had improved a little. This discovery made him feel guilty for a long time, at least 1 minute. Wang Dong couldn't help but doubt herself. Did she really make a mistake? Is Huo Yuhao really a helpful and kind person? After running for a while, Huo Yuhao broke Wang Dong's meditation. What are your plans after graduating from the academy? Why do you ask this? Wang Dong felt a little strange and felt that Huo Yuhao was inexplicable, but she still answered, I don't know what I will do in the future. Let's talk about the future later. Anyway, there are still several years before graduation. Why don't you follow me in the future? I plan to create a force, let us develop it from scratch together, how about it? We can also invite classmates to join. Huo Yuhao invited Wang Dong with a smile. Although Wang Dong is the young master of the Haotian sect, Huo Yuhao feels that she has no chance to become the master of the Haotian sect in this life. If she ascends to the God realm, it goes without saying. If not, she will definitely not live longer than the current master of the Haotian sect, Daming. In this way, he might as well dig Wang Dong in advance to avoid running to join the Tang sect again. Wang Dong's mind went blank when she heard the first half of Huo Yuhao's words. She didn't even hear what Huo Yuhao said later, follow him in the future. What is this person talking about? How can he say it so easily? She bit her cherry lips, her cheeks were hot, and she felt shy and happy, forcibly suppressing the shyness in her heart. Wang Dong said with a wandering look, it's not impossible to follow you, but I still need to observe for a while, you have to be nice to me. Then it's settled. After you observe, you have to join my sect, not other sects. Huo Yuhao said immediately. Hey. Sect? What sect? Wang Dong said in a daze. Didn't you promise to follow me and join the sect I founded in the future? Isn't that what you mean? Huo Yuhao looked at Wang Dong with a suspicious expression. Ah. Wang Dong's expression froze, and he nodded quickly to hide his embarrassment. Yes, that's what I mean, that's right. Wang Dong breathed a sigh of relief, and at the same time felt disappointed. Huo Yuhao saw Wang Dong's face flushed, and guessed that she must have misunderstood. However, he couldn't make his relationship with Wang Dong clear now. He had to push it a little bit and experience some things together, otherwise this relationship would be like a rootless duckweed, and there would be changes when he and Tang San fell out. Shared experience is the root of feelings, and only with a deep and broad foundation can the girl be tied firmly to oneself. So, I'm sorry, Dong'er, this is not the last time, you don't have to be sad too early. Huo Yuhao apologized to Wang Dong in his heart. After Huo Yuhao and Wang Dong ran 100 laps, they walked around the square. Huo Yuhao also observed these classmates in the same class and found the 9 Vajra in the original book, as most people finished running one after another. Only a few students continued to run on the playground, but there was still plenty of time, enough for them to complete 100 laps. Arriving at the place where the classmates gathered, Huo Yuhao roughly reviewed his memory and found that the 9 great kings seemed to have become 6 great kings, and 3 people actually finished the run. Huo Yuhao tactfully reminded them, maybe someone remembered the wrong number of laps and didn't finish. You should recall carefully to see if you have enough laps. If not, you should continue to run. Otherwise, with Zhou Yi's temper, even if you are not expelled, you will still have to suffer other punishments. Huo Yuhao noticed that 3 people hesitated for a moment after hearing his words. One of them stood up first and started running again, and the remaining 2 people immediately got up and caught up with the classmate. Another person saw someone continue to run, and his eyes wavered for a moment, but who knew that he continued to sit on the ground steadily, pretending that nothing had happened. A student with a stronger body was not concerned at all and said with a smile, don't worry, with so many people, she can't possibly keep an eye on us. Huo Yuhao smiled faintly, maybe. I'm just reminding you. You will bear the consequences later. The man stopped talking, snorted and sat down leisurely on the ground. This person likes to meddle in other people's business. He didn't believe that he would be punished if he didn't run Zhou. When Huo Yuhao was about to turn around and leave, a female voice with a crying tone came, "I have cramps in my legs and can't stand up." Huo Yuhao looked in the direction of the voice and saw a petite girl with a delicate and pretty face and some baby fat on her face, which looked soft and sticky. She tried to stand up with both hands, but one leg limped and she fell to the ground with a face full of pain. Huo Yuhao walked over and asked in a gentle voice, "How many laps do you have left?" 2 laps to go. Seeing Huo Yuhao's face approaching, the girl blushed. Huo Yuhao nodded and said, "How about this, I'll carry you to finish these 2 laps. Is it okay?" The girl's face was a little excited. She glanced at Huo Yuhao, and her face blushed again. She thanked him in a mosquito-like voice, "Thank you, classmate Huo Yuhao. My name is Yun Xiaopiao." Huo Yuhao squatted down and wanted the girl to lie on his back. Wang Dong'er, who was next to him, snorted coldly, and then the goddess of light butterfly martial spirit possessed him. He took the lead and lifted Yun Xiaopiao from behind with both hands, and flew low around Shrek Square. Huo Yuhao looked at Wang Dong'er with a smile, looking reluctant, but still carried Yun Xiaopiao around the square. The soft girl named Yun Xiaopiao also exclaimed in surprise. After realizing what happened, she puffed up her cheeks angrily, and the disappointment in her eyes did not dissipate for a long time. The 2 laps were over quickly, and Wang Dong'er carried the girl to the ground and said lightly, "2 laps are finished, no need to thank me." Yun Xiaopiao was stunned for a while after being put down. Hearing Wang Dong's words, she pursed her lips, and finally thanked him reluctantly, "I still have to thank you. Of course, the one I thank the most is classmate Huo Yuhao." Yun Xiaopiao looked at Huo Yuhao with a sparkling look. Wang Dong'er couldn't help but stand in front of the girl to block her view of Huo Yuhao. The girl with limited mobility looked at Wang Dong'er with resentment. For a while, the 2 of them were in a stalemate. Chapter 40. When grace is exhausted, it will be slow. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this time, Zhou Yi's voice reached every student's ears, "Speed up, use my position as the end point, and gather." The students who finished the run slowly gathered next to Zhou Yi and stood loosely in Shrek Square. In the last 5 minutes, all the students stood beside Zhou Yi. Zhou Yi squeezed the time, and when exactly 1 hour was up, she turned around and looked at all the students with a blank face, and said calmly, "Tang Ling, Tai Long, get out of the queue." Tai Long stepped forward calmly, and Tang Ling moved to Zhou Yi with some anxiety. Huo Yuhao took a look and found that Tai Long was the one who had just told him with a smile that with so many people, Zhou Yi wouldn't notice that he was running around less, and Tang Ling was the one who messed up. "You can leave Shrek Academy from tomorrow. You will no longer be a member of Shrek." "Huh?" Tai Long and Tang Ling were shocked. The few people who completed the laps after Huo Yuhao's reminder patted their chests thankfully and cast grateful glances at Huo Yuhao. "Teacher, why?" Tai Long shouted with annoyance. "You know, his cultivation and strength are among the best in the class, how could Zhou Yi expel him at will?" Zhou Yi said coldly, "My class doesn't need people who cheat, and take chances. Tell yourself, how many laps have you run?" "Of course I ran 100 laps. Tai Long protested, holding his neck. After speaking, he seemed to remember something, and then said, "Even if I didn't remember the number of laps and ran a few laps less, you can't fire me. He promised us not to expel students today." Zhou Yi was fierce and said coldly, "You have only run 97 laps. As for me not being able to expel you today, what I am saying is that from tomorrow on, you will no longer be a member of Shrek Academy, not today. If you are dissatisfied, you can appeal to the Academic Affairs Office." Huo Yuhao didn't expect Zhou Yi to do this. Although he felt that the punishment was a bit harsh, he had already reminded the 2 of them once. It's hard to persuade them. For such a person who thinks that it is natural for others to help him, he too lazy to care. When Tai Long and Tang Ling saw that Zhou Yi was not getting enough, they immediately turned their attention to Huo Yuhao who was watching the show for help. This person was the one who stood up for Su Heng who called him the teacher's nickname. It's only natural that he should stand up for them, right? Zhou Yi's eyelids twitched when she saw this. Huo Yuhao was unmoved by the two people's gazes, and said coldly, I have already reminded you once. The other students have all completed 100 laps after my reminder, but you two are the only ones who either disdain or don't care. Now you want me to help you. For the sake of my classmates, I can remind you that I will never help you the second time. Tang Ling wanted to continue begging Huo Yuhao, but Tai Long said angrily, if it weren't for you, Zhou Yi would have discovered that I didn't run enough laps. It was your reminder that Zhou Yi found out that I didn't run enough laps. Huo Yuhao was too lazy to talk to this kind of cerebral palsy, but Wang Dong on the side was angry, her face was covered with frost and she said angrily, are you an idiot? How could Zhou Yi know that you only ran 97 laps if he didn't notice that you didn't run enough? Ha, it's Huo Yuhao's fault anyway. It wasn't him who provoked Zhou Yi and made teacher Zhou Yi's anger build up. Will Zhou Yi expel me? I'm a great soul master. How many people in the class are better than me? If I were expelled, I will never let him go. Tai Long argued with a sneer, feeling that what he said made sense. Wang Dong was so angry that even some classmates couldn't help but want to teach Tai Long a lesson. They actually thought that teacher Zhou Yi went too far in expelling Tai Long before. Now it seems that it is just too easy for such a person to expel him. Huo Yuhao stopped Wang Dong who was about to take action and persuaded him, you don't need to get angry with such an ungrateful person. In the eyes of such a person, no matter what mistakes he makes, he will first blame them on others. How can others do it? If you help him, he will take it for granted, but if you don't help him, he will resent you. After Huo Yuhao finished speaking, he looked at Tai Long with cold eyes, who still wanted to refute, and controlled his mental power to attack the opponent's spiritual sea. Tai Long's face turned pale and he fell silent for an instant. At the same time, Huo Yuhao quietly launched soul interference, majestic the spiritual power silently poured into Tai Long's spiritual sea, modifying his subconscious, and gave him the idea of attacking the teacher and causing wanton destruction after going to the academic affairs office. In an instant, Huo Yuhao's face turned pale, and his soul power was almost exhausted. The lack of soul power was filled by spiritual power. His vast spiritual sea seemed to have shrunk a lot, but fortunately, the recovery speed was also very fast. Forcibly modifying other people's ideas and consciousness is indeed very costly, Huo Yuhao said in a cold voice, I was too lazy to pay attention to you, but I didn't expect you to threaten me instead. He, a selfish and ungrateful person like you, think that others should treat you well? Do you think everyone is you? Father? I helped Su Hang to seek justice, and to remind others to complete 100 laps is to fulfill their friendship as classmates. I kindly reminded you that you don't care, but in turn, the blame is on me. Do you think I am a good person? I have to stand up for you. If I don't help you, you will threaten me. I want to see what you can do. I, Huo Yuhao, always respect me. I respect others. If someone offends me, I will definitely offend him. If you have any means, come and see if you won't let me go or if I won't let you go. Just as Tai Long was about to say harsh words, Huo Yuhao immediately added another mental attack. He then saw Tai Long become dizzy, his nose bleeding, and his head felt a heartbreaking pain. At this moment, he finally intuitively felt Huo Yuhao's strength. Tai Long opened his mouth and saw Huo Yuhao's shining golden eyes. He finally did not dare to say anything and headed to the academic affairs office dejectedly. When Tang Ling saw Tai Long leaving, he begged Huo Yuhao, Brother Huo, just help me. I will always remember your kindness, and I will definitely listen to you in the future. Huo Yuhao glanced indifferently at Tang Ling, who had a pleading look on his face, and said calmly, Why should I help you? For the friendship of classmates? I have already done my share of friendship. For justice? It was you who did something wrong. If you make a mistake, admit it. If you go to the academic affairs office, you might be able to change classes. Please, how can I help you? Then Huo Yuhao kept silent and Tang Ling went to the academic affairs office with a disappointed look on his face. After Tang Ling and Tai Long left, Huo Yuhao once again used soul interference to quietly guide the students' emotions, and said loudly to all the students, We are all from all over the mainland. Now that we are gathered together, sitting together as classmates, sweating together, we have to said, this is a kind of fate, I cherish this fate with everyone, and I also hope to use this fate to become friends with you. So, when I am with my classmates, of course I will help as much as I can. I am also willing to cry out for everyone when they encounter unfair treatment. However, this does not mean that someone can squander my money wantonly. He has good intentions, but when he doesn't need it, he thinks I'm a fool. When he needs it, he bows his head and admits his mistake and begs me, thinking that as long as he admits his mistake, I can help him again. But I told him that he was wrong. The friends I make with you are friends who can support and help each other, rather than being one person on the outside and another on the inside, one thing when you need a friend and another when you don't. Another set of superficial friends. My kindness is also limited. If people respect me, I will respect them. If they don't respect me, I won't be polite. I hope to become true friends with everyone in the future. Of course, if anyone, like Tai Long, thinks I am easy to bully, then you can give it a try.